Oh, hello. Well, let's have those lifted.
It looks like there are footprints in it. I can guess at what this powder is.
What is that, Coke?
But I should send
Probably
it for
Coke.
analysis just in case. Bingo. There's more of that powder inside this hole in the wall. What an obvious place for a hiding spot. Mr. Taylor...
So how many pounds of Coke are hidden behind the wall? Alright, let's go back and have a look-see at this. Yeah.
Dr. Kimishima, about that white powder that was spread on the floor. There were traces of drugs found.
More than one set of
A number of
footprints?
different sets of footprints were identified in that powder as well. They all belonged to the firefighters, police, and you, of course.
I see. That means...
That does make sense.
Exactly. That would be the case. The room belonged to the deceased. If the drugs had been spread on the floor before the incident, his footprints should be there as well. But the only footprints in the room were from people who had entered after the fire. This would mean that the drugs would have to have been spread before or soon after the fire began. All right, let's go over the information we've gathered. First, the white powder.
Some of these have 3 gag answers, it seems.
Yes, the trail of drugs led directly to the hole behind the shelf. If the same powder from the floor was inside the hole, then...
Obviously, it's a place to hide his drugs from the police.
That's right. But there weren't any drugs inside the hole. The layer of drugs had footprints from the firefighters, the police, and me left in them.
They were all made after the fire. Because they would include the victims' footprints as well, if they were made before the fire.
Indeed. There weren't any footprints from before the time the fire began. So from this, we can deduce that the drugs must have been scattered on the floor when...
Oh, nope. Right.
That was careless. Yes. If I take this even further, I'd say that it would have been after Mr. Taylor stopped moving. In other words,
That's a pretty
it
small
must have
time
happened
of
between his death and
pretty
when
small
the fire
time frame for that
started.
to happen.
But why were there drugs on the floor?
Thought so. Cool.
Yes, they must have spilled out when someone removed the drugs from the hole in the wall. Dennis Taylor was killed, and someone walked out with the drugs. I'm starting to get a clearer picture
So the
of what
person who
happened here,
spilled the
but
drugs
there's no
was
proof just
probably
yet.
Dennis's murderer.
I need to move on to the next step. I should consult with Little Guy about this.
Dr. Kimishima, have you confirmed that it's a murder after all?
I don't know how you heard about that so quickly, Little Guy. Have you been eavesdropping on me?
Huh? What? No,
Forget it. I can see right through you.
oh, right, I have a new tool for you. It's luminol. Do I need to explain it to you?
A chemiluminescent material based on reducing 5-nitrothalhydrazide with sodium dithionite. It reacts to iron and hemoglobin by glowing, making it useful to find otherwise hidden bloodstains. Anything else?
No.
Good. I just spray this onto suspicious areas, then shine the ALS on it, right? I'm sure it will be useful.
Alright, let's go
Thank
back
you,
to the
Little
crime
Guy.
scene. Wow, I have no clue where I'm going to break this up, because this has been going on for a long time. Wow, these cases are long. Okay.
So there were
More blood.
bloodstains here too. If these are from the deceased, we may be able to use this with
Now,
something
what
else. that
about
we know.
where the fan is? Aha!
This.
What?
There's a rope wrapped around the shaft of the ceiling fan. There's no mistake. Those are bloodstains.
No. Why would there be a rope around the fan? That doesn't make any sense. Okay, what about over by the door? Bingo!
Huh. There's a reaction to blood on the screw that's securing the doorknob. The screw seems rather loose as well.
I think this case is coming together!
Come to think of it, the door to this room was chained shut when the fire started. Could this be related to that in some way?
Alright, we got a lot of new evidence to sort through here. But I think this case is coming together. Oh.
Oh, Dr. Kimishima, sorry for the wait. The analysis of the burnt material has come back from the
What?
calcium hydroxide was detected in the sample.
Calcium hydroxide? You mean slaked lime?
Yes, small amounts of quicklime were also detected.
In other
Quicklime
words,
is
an
a substance
explosive.
that releases a great deal of heat when it reacts with water.
Huh, I see. So this was...
I agree, but isn't it odd?
Not to mention, the killer would have to be
Start a fire,
smart.
there are far easier ways to go about it.
You're right. There must have been a reason for this. It's our job to investigate that, isn't it?
Alright, let's start taking a look at this thing. Okay.
That's right. There were 2 different bloodstains left in the deceased's room. Now, which of these bloodstains happened first?
That was a guess.
That's true, unless the corpse got up and walked over by itself. It's most likely that the deceased died where the first bloodstains were found, and then was carried to the bed afterwards. That would explain why there was such a small amount of blood on the bed itself. I still have doubts. My main concern about this is...
Yeah, fans.
Yes.
Fans don't really
Fans
cool a
circulate
room;
air
they
within
just
rooms.
circulate air.
If the owner was having his air system fixed, the fan should have been considered part of it. Why then would the electrician fix only the heater and not the ceiling fan? Yes, these 2 pieces can be combined into one. The rope wrapped around the
But that
ceiling
doesn't
fan
answer
is what
why
caused
the
it to
rope
break.
is there.
The question now is why there was a rope around it in the first place.
Dr. Kimishima, we've identified the...
Why? Why would that be?
It's a DNA match with the victim, Dennis Taylor. Why would his blood be there, of all places?
It's simple. What happened was...
That doesn't make sense. That's way across the room, and that wouldn't make sense. So that's the only answer that makes sense to me.
That's right. It's probably because it touched the murder weapon.
Wait, why would the killer touch that screw with the murder weapon?
He would have to, if the weapon was...
Oh, the wound on his... The wound on his chest? That makes sense. That makes sense. So the murder weapon was a screwdriver? Okay.
Yes, a screwdriver. It was likely used to both loosen and tighten that screw.
I see. Then the screwdriver left the blood on
Okay.
the screw while he was covering his tracks.
I think we got some gears moving here.
What's this? It just looks like a loose screw to me.
Think harder, little guy. How was the room when the firefighters arrived at the scene? The entrance was closed, but was it completely inaccessible?
That was also a guess.
That's right. The chain on the door had been attached, but the door
I really need to
itself
pay closer
wasn't
attention
locked.
to these things.
Sorry, but the door only opens about 15 centimeters with the chain attached. I don't even think a small child could get through a space that small.
You're so unimaginative. Flex your mind and think about it. Listen to me. What I'm trying to tell you is...
There we go.
This loose screw tells us everything. With the screw removed, the entire plate on the door can be swiveled around by the doorknob. The plate itself is about 20 centimeters long, so the gap increases to almost 35 centimeters. How big does somebody have to be that he couldn't fit through a space that size?
That's
I
clever.
see now. That's more than enough room to get past the door. So the killer just screwed the plate back on from the outside after he left the room then.
I think that's the most likely explanation. But the killer was in plain sight once he was outside the door. He wanted to finish quickly. The killer couldn't completely tighten the screw and left the area as we found it.
Well, that proves that this isn't quite the murder mystery we thought it was.
Huh. Still, this doesn't help us figure out who the killer is. I need to
All
investigate
right.
the situation in more detail.
Now what?
It's true then. This does have to do with the victim. But I wonder why. I get the feeling that there's something very wrong about this.
Thought so.
Indeed. At first glance, it doesn't seem like these refer to the same person at all. On the one hand, drug-dealing scum enjoying his life. On the other, a man with suicidal depression. Either one of these clues is false, or there's more to this shady business that I haven't found out. In either case,
All
the truth
right.
of the matter is that he was indeed a drug dealer.
Now, what other evidence do we have here? Didn't think so.
The fire began near the fallen table. Calcium hydroxide was found in the substance on the floor there. Calcium hydroxide is formed through the reaction of quicklime and water. That reaction
creates a lot of
something
heat.
else as well. Yes. Quicklime releases 65 kilojoules of energy per mole when it reacts with water. This was the method used to start the fire in this room. First, you would place a glass of water on the table. You would also put quicklime around the floor and on the table near the glass. When the table falls over, the hydration heat caused by the reaction would cause a fire. But why would the killer go through such a complicated plan to start a fire?
Another 3-gag answer one. Obviously, it's to delay when the fire started so that he had enough time to actually get out of the room and far enough away from the building before the fire started so he could cover his tracks.
That's right. If all he wanted was a fire, he could have just set something on fire. The killer needed to have a delay until the fire began. That's why he devised a plan that made use of two
The ceiling
components.
fan and the rope.
Yes. This trick relied on the ceiling fan and a rope. The killer wrapped one end of the rope around the fan and tied the other to a table leg. When the fan activated according to its timer, the fan wound the rope up,
That
flipping the table
That actually
over
explains
and
why the
spilling
table
water
is
onto
flipped
the
over.
quicklime. However, there's still one basic question left to be asked. Why did the killer have to set the room on fire in the first place? Why go through this extravagant setup to make it happen? The reason for that is...
Oh, did he want the body to be found so he would make the murder look like a suicide? Thought so.
Exactly. Due to the fact that there was nothing flammable added to the body itself, the culprit never intended for the corpse and the evidence to be destroyed in the fire. Instead, the killer wanted to cause a commotion that would draw attention to the corpse. Now then, why would that be? That's right. By delaying the start of the fire, the plan was to have enough time to create a viable alibi for when the fire began. It's easy. I mean, with this method of misdirection, the culprit could start a fire hours after having left the
There
corpse
we
in the
go.
alley.
Solid evidence!
This is the entire truth
But we're not
behind
done
this
yet.
mysterious arson.